Houdini is in the building. He's appeared as if out of nowhere. Carl Morris, the £100 million man, is in the house at the Bolton Wanderers FC Stadium, and he has got himself an opponent and a half this morning. It's the last 16 of the Ultimate Pool Pro Series, event number 3. Carl Morris versus Chris Melling, two very, very familiar friends, but most importantly, two very familiar foes. These two go way, way back, and we are very much looking forward to this one, to see how they get on in big 2025. Stephen James on the commentary, and someone who can relate to the time when these two were coming up and really showing off to the world about how good they were as young bucks and have gone on to become superstars in their own right. Tony Holgate's alongside me. I think the only person that likes to wind up Chris Melling more than Carl Morris is Tony Holgate. So in that respect, I felt like I've got a good dance partner tonight.
Well, I'd like to think so. Good morning, sir. And it's going to be a fascinating match. And as you said, these two, yes, they were playing when I was playing, bizarrely. Carl, of course, won the world title in 1998. Chris Melling came just after him. And obviously, multiple world titles for him. But it is a bit of a throwback match. They will have clashed a lot of times through the years. They've probably played about 4 sets of rules as they've gone through the 90s, through the early 2000s and onwards, and they still, well, we know how good Chris is, but Carl is still playing to a very, very high standard. Such a battler. And this is the thing, these two players is such a contrast in styles.
But in their own way, they are both probably two of the most entertaining players.
Yeah, without doubt.
In the Ultimate Pool Pro Series. Completely polar opposites. I think Simon Webb was absolutely right there when he said Carl's the entertainer when he's in the arena. I think probably privately Chris is quite pleased that he's not having to battle Carl out there on the outside tables, no shot clock and match clock. He's probably a little bit relieved that he gets to play the entertainer Carl Morris rather than the torturer Carl Morris.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we always said it over the years, and I've played Carl and Chris as well multiple times, and if you haven't got the shot clock on there, and Carl is aware of it, and he'll say, oh, no, I don't do it on purpose. But when he knows it winds his opponent up, and it's not against the rules, so he's not doing anything naughty.
No,
it's just
absolutely.
the fact that, I know, I'm going to leave you sat in your seat a little bit longer than you'd like to, and put you through the mill a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's within his rights to do so, as you say. He's picked out a lovely pattern here. He's just got to keep playing good shots. That was the only thing with this route. It required some gentle work, one more good shot away and a simple 8-ball awaits.
And of course, these two were both teammates for England many years ago. That's a great shot there from Carl.
Yeah, he's picked a lovely route. It's a really promising start for Carl. I said this to Simon in the studios, Tony. I think he's actually had a bit of a renaissance this year, Carl Morris. He's sort of consistently making decent runs again, and he's not done that for a little while. And, you know, whether that's due to a little bit more time invested on the table or a little bit more focus or, I don't know, different preparation, it could be a multitude of factors. He's starting to be a threat again, and he's a player no one wants to draw.
No, well, he was 3-0 down last night to Aaron Davis, who everybody knows that's been watching Ultimate Pool this season, won our first event on the Pro Tour at Wigan. And Aaron is a true battler. Now, there's two players that are quite similar to a sense where they don't mind hanging in there all night if that's what's required to win a match. But he was 3-0 down, was Carl, and he won the next 8 frames in a row. It was a bit of a, let's say, it wasn't a fast and furious match, but that shows the level that Carl is playing at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Aaron's been great this season.
Yeah, he has, of course. Pro Series 1 winner. First break then for Chris Melling, who showed us what he was about yesterday against Neil Raybone. Super performance from Chris. It's a good performance from the Razor. He didn't do a lot wrong. This was the main issue that Chris had, though. He wasn't making a load off the break, particularly in the early going of the match. He's going to park his chair, and Carl Morris is going to take his time to get up.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris after his match last night, and he felt he played really well. He said, I was over the moon to play like that. Didn't expect it. He said the one issue, though, he said, I had 2 really good flush breaks, and I didn't get a ball off either of them. And like you said, Jamo, they were right. I think it was like frame 2 and frame 4, his first 2 breaks, something like that. Then he slightly changed it.
He did, yeah. So he changed it to that break we just saw there, which is the sort of the top spin break where he tries to park it right in the centre of the table. Changed to that halfway through the match, had a bit more success with it, but did lose the cue ball on a couple of occasions. But once he was in open table, I mean, he was fabulous. It's like he always has been. He's such a unique talent in that way, because to play how he does at this form of the game is really, really difficult, let alone the fact that he chops and changes and plays all sorts of different stuff. He's spent a lot of time in the last 4 weeks in China, played in the big Hayball Masters out there. Went pretty well as well, and he's got his American pool career on one side. He obviously still plays English to a really high level. I think what helps him is the amount of exhibitions he does up and down the country and in Ireland. I think that's what's helped keep him sharp enough to come into this tournament and play some great stuff. But at the minute, Carl Morris is keeping him off the table, which is how Carl Morris can win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to what you said about Chris, the way he plays it, if you're his opponent and you've made a mistake and then Chris comes to the table and knocks in, okay, not the hardest finish in the world, but when the balls are fairly easy, taking absolutely no time at all, like he's just in his living room thumping balls in as fast as he can with little effort. It can be annoying if you're sat there watching it. That's not a great shot from Carl. And there you see the shake of the head. Left himself bridging. Well, he can get to the side of this cue ball, but does he want to put left-hand side on it? This is the problem. There you see the overhead. So he's going to play this right over the top here. Now this cue ball's going to bounce a little bit as he hits this. He's going to have to hit this fairly firm. He didn't hit it as hard as I thought he was.
Yeah, hit with top as well.
It didn't look like he got a great contact as he struck that cue ball.
Yeah, he'd be the first to say, Carl, that he's not got what you'd call a traditionally orthodox cue action. It's jabby and...
Well, his cue's really short. If you go out there and pick his cue is probably the shortest cue when I was playing as a professional that there was in the game.
We all shot to play here, though. Yeah,
So
that was
that's
tough. Yeah, not going to get out, and Chris Melling will pounce and will try and clear this up in a way that says, do that again.
Well, these should be gone for Chris. But it is the first frame that he's got his hand on the table. And he wants to just take an extra little bit of time to get himself warmed up and into this game. Like if this was, let's say, the 5th frame, those yellows would have been nearly all gone by now. But it's just first match in the morning. That's a lovely shot there from Chris to get on the, I'll say the awkward ball, but it wasn't really that awkward to get on. And here we see picking up the pace.
Yeah, now the hard work's done, he'll flow. And you talk about Carl Morris's cue being short and jabby cue action. Chris is like the other end of the spectrum.
It's a pole vault.
Yeah, super long and loopy.
Yeah, his cue action is it's one of a kind. Pulls back such a long way, and to do that and be so accurate, the delivery of the cue has to be so precise.
Yeah.
But when you put a lot of distance between tip and cue ball, so much more can go wrong. But it's cueing is just sublime.
Yeah, he's fabulous. Just such a gifted cueist. And he looks in pretty good shape right now.
Yeah, I'd be happy to get an early frame. Last night when he started against Raybone, he dropped the first 2 frames, 2-0 down, and he looked a little bit dejected in his chair. But to get a nice early frame on the board, especially after he did have a dry break there, so that can erase that out of his mind for the time being.
Yeah, it will help for sure. bring it up to speed with the other results and live matches in a moment. Can tell you Josh Kane and Carl Sutton have got through earlier on today from the last 16. Carl Sutton beating Craig Waddingham 8-5. Brilliant result for Carlos. Josh Kane 8-2 winner over Liam White. Those matches both in this half of the draw alongside Carl Morris and Chris Melling. In fact, in the quarterfinals, Carl Sutton will be playing the winner of this match. As Chris Melling comes to the table, dry break from Carl and a furrowed brow from the Magician. And easy to see why.
Well, he's taking quite a long time to make a decision here, Chris. I like the reds, but he was obviously contemplating yellows. And he must have done, because to take that long to choose colour, he must have looked at both routes. Now, I don't know if that black ball passes the yellow into that top left-hand corner. I'm going to say it must be tight, because Chris will be worried, or not say worried, but concerned of getting from his last red to the black ball. There you can see he's being very precise where he wants to place his cue ball. Wants to be able to screw straight back here, so into the rail to get onto the red in the centre. And that's why he really didn't want any angle. Now he's going with top spin, so he's going through. I hated those shots. Long rolls, I just never trust them. This is fantastic.
He makes it look so much easier than it is, isn't it?
That was pinpoint. Really, really good from Melling there.
Yeah, that's excellent from Chris. Really, really good.
Well, if anybody was wondering how he was going to adapt after playing so much in China and America to come back to playing with a smaller ball, there's your answer. Not very long.
This is live for you right now on the Ultimate Pool YouTube channel. You can go watch Tom Cousins and Phil Harrison TC 5-4 up on his old enemy, the Farmer. And that's a fantastic match. You can enjoy that with the company of Simon Webb and Nick Finn. They're live on YouTube right now over on the Ultimate Pool page. Elsewhere on the Ultimate Pool app, we've got the Women's Pro Series quarterfinals on right now. Mary Talbot is taking on Colette Henriksen. That's all square as it stands, and plenty more available as well. We've got the table 3 stream. So much happening right now. I believe it's Dylan Leary against Jaden Billingham, and you can go watch that should you like. But if you're sticking with me and Tony on Carl Morris and Chris Melling, I would personally say you've made an excellent decision. Chris Melling would personally say he's made an excellent break. Has he got a nice split? Well, he's got a split. A little bit of work at the top half of the table, I would suggest. But I wonder if the yellows in particular pick themselves apart here.
Yeah, yellows for me. There you see, that yellow would slide in off the black ball. It's the one to the left of the black, top end of the table.
This is the sort of finish where a lot of other players, I'd be thinking this is odds against. But because it's Chris, you really do back him at that elite level to find a way here.
I think he plays this now. And the reason being, he's going to knock the 8 ball into the open here, but he's going to also free up that pocket for the yellow at the top. Digging down with a bit of right-hand side. Now then, has that black still passes the red? It does.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Well, you feel that Chris is going to pot the yellows, come down the table for the one at the bottom. Second to last yellow will be the one on the left-hand rail. And then yellow and black are very close to each other, the last two. That's perfect. Melling now just slots this one in, comes around the back of that red ball off 2 rails. And it's starting to look like Melling is finding top gear.
I would suggest so. Does he have another gear?
He has overdrive. He hasn't had to use that just yet.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
when he starts potting balls off 4 cushions, when you think he's dead and buried. But at the moment, this is Melling in full flow. 3-1 now to the Magician.
Yeah, in no time at all. Excellent start from Chris Melling. 3-1. He leads, and a reminder, once again, if you want to watch the full match here, those of you watching us live on the Ultimate Pool Facebook, to watch the full match, you're going to have to head over to Ultimate Pool TV. That's ultimatepool.tv. If you're not subscribed, join up, sign up. You can get a code, and that'll give you £2 off your first month, so you can get the whole weekend there for £2.99. It's not exactly bad. UP Bolton will get you that code if you need it. Carl Morris with work to do against Chris Melling as we bid farewell to our Facebook viewers. See you on the other side on Ultimate Pool TV. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, Ultimate Pool YouTube is live right now as well.
And Carl Morris knows what's required. He needs balls off this break. You cannot afford to watch Melling sail off into the sunset. And what's he got? It doesn't look great, and you can see the desperation in Carl Morris's face. And rightly so. It's a good split here. It's not a bad break. But it's the pool gods that decide. And it was a thumbs down from them. And Chris played a plant first with the yellows, I think. It's dead straight, can't miss it. And there he goes. And you'd have to say this frame looks to be heading the way of the Yorkshireman. He wants to get rid of that yellow as soon as possible at the top of the table. Can't be leaving that to last to try and get on. A couple of little tricky positional shots, but again, with Melling's control, he seems to have found the pace of the table this morning as well.
Yeah, quickly.
I remember it was towards the end of last season, and he played in the arena, and I've never seen him out of position so many times. And I can't remember who he was playing. He lost, and he was disgusted, and he said, "I cannot get the pace of the table." He said it seems to be different every time I've been on it, but not today.
Yeah, he's looked razor sharp.
Yeah, I think when you're not playing particularly well, and he didn't play very well in that match, if I remember. Everything seems magnified then. You know, one little mistake, it suddenly becomes a massive, huge error. And you start looking for them as well. And it's when your mind's not right. But he looks very calm and composed. I do remember now when he was having a chat with you yesterday, wasn't he? And he said, "I don't expect anything. I'm just going to enjoy it and play it. I don't expect to be winning the tournament." But I mean, how many matches do you play? And as you get later in the tournament, and then think, hang on a minute, I can win this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the mindset changes.
Well, of course it does, and I think it has to. I think it absolutely has to.
Well, he had to bend around that, and he wasn't on it, and he's missed.
Well,
we were just talking about him winning the tournament then. And well, Carl Morris, Houdini, will have plenty to say about that.
Yeah, he absolutely will, and you know he should. Carl's the sort of bloke who could rock up and win this tournament.
Carl can beat anybody in his day. Annoyed there. He was obviously playing it to try and piss into that red that's just to the right of the yellow. And he came past it. So it just made it a little bit trickier than it should be. You can see now Morris eyeing up this plant with the reds. Has to make this one. It's not a straight plant. And he's got the cue ball into a better position now. Bit more choice for Carl.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, it's not exactly where he wants it to be, but it's not the end of the world. You can work with it.
Yeah, Carl's a player that likes to use all the parts of the table. He will play shots where he uses the cushions a lot to manoeuvre the cue ball around, where other players will tend to just roll balls softly, but he won't be happy with that miss.
No, the miss is, yeah, ultimately you can do whatever you like on the table in so many ways. You can't miss balls.
Right position here now, as Carl shakes his head, looks to the stars. Position here for Melling. He's got to get behind that yellow, and you see him digging down with loads and loads of left-hand side, should I say, coming off 3 cushions. And he's hit it too soft. It's the right idea to go through that gap. So now this is a double back into the right-hand middle, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's a huge shot to try and find this. This is tough. Carl's been fortunate, really, to only have left Chris with that to go at. Can the magician find a way out? He's digging deep. Was it ever in doubt? And look at the cue ball he's played. Oh, that's such a good shot. That's such a good shot. And in goes the 8 ball, middle of the pocket.
Fabulous.
The cue ball was the best part about that double for me.
Yeah.
He had to dig in with loads and loads of draw, but also reverse. So it hit the top cushion just in front of the knuckle and came back the other way to go somewhere towards the 8 ball and not leave him a horrendous 8 ball to try and find. That was such a quality out.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Because he did try and play with that enormous amount of side with the shot before to come off the 3 rails through the gap, and he was a little bit short, which then forced him to have to play that double. But what a fabulous finish from Chris Melling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure the
brilliant.
crowd thoroughly enjoyed it as well. They're being well entertained out there this morning.
Yeah, there was a few of them out there as well. Look at that, standing room only to see Chris Melling and Carl Morris. And plenty of other action on the other tables as well. You can see Tom Cousins at the table against Phil Harrison. I think he's on the hill there, Cousins. He's not far away. He's 6-4 in front, my apologies. That's a brilliant break from Chris. Oh. If you could hit that every time, you'd win an awful lot of tournaments. And not even Chris can hit that every time, but that is just perfect.
Well,
it's so technically difficult, that break.
Yeah, if you can hit that break every time, all you got to be concerned about is making sure you win the lag. Because you're never going to miss a finish if you get breaks like that.
Yeah, it's exactly it. And it's such a technically difficult break. That's why a lot of players will not try and do it, because it's sort of, you don't have to make the break that difficult to have success with it. But goodness me. Stopping the cue ball smack bang on the blue spot, and just with all the power that he gets, it's a real gift.
But just look at his cue action, you know. I watched his last shot. How far he brings that cue back to play a very soft shot. There's a little pause at the end, and it's just so smooth. It's almost like he's playing a cello or something.
Yeah, I know. It sounds silly, but I know exactly what you mean.
It is. It's just.
Oh, he's gone too far there, though. He's hit a false note.
The cue action is a work of art.
Not that you'd ever know straight in.
No, not bothered about that.
5-1.
But
He's not hanging about.
It's like he's orchestrating the cue ball round the table, and it's really great to watch. Melling in full flow. And
well, this is a big match over on table 2 right now on the Ultimate Pool app. This is the women's table, and there's been some great results in this game, in this tournament rather, already. But Colette Henriksen taking on Mary Talbot. Colette having dumped Kirsty Davies 7-1 in the first round in this tournament, and she's landed in the Pro Series this year as a bona fide tournament-made player, and she will at some point win a tournament, and she is the draw to avoid for all the seeded players.
I've known Colette for years and years and years, and it's great to see her back at the top of the game. She moved over to France. What a fabulous talent she is. Brilliant, brilliant player. And yeah, you look at this ladies tour, that is somebody you don't want to see in your line of path to the final or anywhere, because I mean, to beat Kirsty Davies by that score, I mean, that's incredible. But she'll have her work cut out with Mary Talbot, and we did say it's 3-all. And Mary, of course, is the Women's British Open champion as well.
Yeah, absolutely she is. Yeah, do not write Mary off.
Well, this is emergency time now for Morris. Surely he can find a ball. He's going to be dry again, and just look at that. He's had no luck with his break this morning, Carl Morris.
Yeah, and whatever you might say about how we can downplay the impact of the break and all the rest of it, you still need to play well.
Full teapot as well, look. Full teapot.
You still need some luck on the break. If you want to be a great player playing great, you've got to have a little bit of luck. You can't break badly. And
no, you can't.
It's not necessarily. It's not like he's breaking badly. I should sort of rephrase that a little bit. He's broken unluckily.
Yeah, for all the superlatives, we go out for Chris. Got to say, Carl has had absolutely zero luck with the break. It's just slumped in his chair. He has missed a chance though. When he gave the table back to Chris, when Chris pulled out that amazing double with the yellow to nick that frame, but just a bit of concern for Chris. It's that red that's just above the yellow on the left. Got to be very precise getting on it. Two choices. He can run into it, but I think he might just try and slide past it and have the red in the other corner. Well, they can get on in the middle. You can just roll up now and have the other red in the same pocket. And another finish for Chris Melling. And that is now 6-1 to the Magician, playing out of his skin. But you've got to feel a bit for Carl Morris, getting nothing on the break. Yeah,
you really do. I was looking forward to this match, and I always look forward to watching Chris Melling in particular play, because who doesn't? Let's be honest. But I was really looking forward to this match, but it's so much more of a match when both players can participate in it, and it hasn't really felt like Carl Morris has had what you'd describe as a fair go. Yes, he's missed a couple of moments, but he's not had the chance to really fully go toe-to-toe with Chris in this match.
No, it's been a tale of two breaks. So Chris Melling at the table, frame number 8. And now Chris's turn to go dry with it, and it was a thunderous break as well. Park that cue ball, the one that you like, JMO, with his spin on it and stops it in the table. But he's dry, so Carl Morris at the table, and he needs this frame badly.
Yeah, this has to get it.
And the one after.
Yeah, if he's got any hope. And it's not over. Race to 8, we've
not.
seen comebacks this weekend. You know, race to 8, this is absolutely not over, but it's almost. This has to go for Carl if it is not to be over. And he's got a big first shot to play. Big first shot. Oh, you couldn't wish for a worse outcome.
Not only that, he's knocked in 2 yellows. He's pushed one that was in a little bit of bother into the open as well.
It's the worst possible outcome. Oh, I mean, that's just tough, isn't it? That's just so tough.
That one at the top of the table is now over the pocket down on the bottom right. Yeah. Of course, Chris not bothering to take yellows at all. He'll just take reds instead. It's just amazing when you see the run go in one direction. You know, the bad luck, it's just all for Carl Morris. The one time, well, it was the second dry break that Chris has had, because he was dry on his very first break, but the one time he goes dry when Carl needs to get his hand on the table, then Carl has a really unlucky in-off and such a bad kick.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, that.
So these 3 reds and the black to put Chris Melling on the hill. Up in to finish off within the centre.
Yeah, tough one. Tough place to be for Carl Morris. It really is. And just one of those matches. They've all had them plenty of times at this level. It can happen, but it doesn't make it any easier to take.
Carl now just having a little bit of a smirk. I think he's resigned himself to the fact that, barring an absolute miracle of miracles, he will be bowing out. As we come over and look at Jaden Billingham. Table 3. He's taking on Dylan Leary there. They're 1-1.
Played beautifully yesterday, Jaden, the match that we saw him on the main arena. Played some fabulous stuff against Callum Singleton. Was a bit nervy towards the end, but considering he's still just a child, he is some talent.
Yeah, and he's playing probably the best senior player there is in the game with Dylan Leary.
Yeah, it's an era splash, this, for sure.
Yeah,
massively.
Yeah, I watched Dylan play late last night after we'd finished in the main arena. He was still playing. He was playing Jez Graham and won that, I believe, 8-3 in the end. But he played some very, very good stuff, did Dylan, considering how late it was. It was around 11 o'clock last night.
Yeah, had to wait a long time to play that match.
But forever the professional, though, is Dylan. And Carl Morris waves in the air. Thankfully, he's putted some balls. It might be too little, too late, but the reaction is Carl all over. Yeah, hooray! Yeah, and what a break!
Yeah, what a break, eh? It's the game, isn't it? It really is just the game sometimes.
Yeah, it's almost as if Carl's saying, "Well, there you are. You've arrived with me now in the arena. My break's here." But he's still going to require for Chris Melling's break to completely collapse. But there's nothing he can do about that. That's out of his hands. Just make sure you try and clear up every time you get to the table. Yeah, nicely done there by Cole. using that yellow as a buffer. Gives him a nice angle on this second to last red. Just steer the cue ball up the table past that middle. Oh no, no, no. He had to dig deeper. He's put too much side on and not enough screw. You had to dig deep and sort of pull it in there, and it was a little bit, it looked a little bit like he decelerated slightly into that shot. And Houdini is not going to get out of his chains this time, I'm afraid.
No, this one's over. Master of the escape is Carl Morris, but the Magician has kept him well and truly tied up in this one. Hasn't been able to get anything going. No rhythm, no luck. You've got neither of those things. It's a pretty tough spot to beat Chris Melling at the best of times, let alone when he's playing as well as this.
And this black for the match. Awesome.
Carl Morris ends it on his own terms. Chris Melling is the winner of that one and advances into the quarterfinals. Never quite seen a finish quite like that. Very Carl Morris in its own way.